Okay, good morning, public voters and guests. First, our standard housekeeping rule. Please make sure that you have turned your cell phone ringer off. In case of emergency, fire exit, we have the front entrance door, we have this back gym door, and then we have this door that goes out to the storage around to the building. Please assist anyone who needs assistance with evacuation. If you would like to say something during town meeting, you must announce. State your name clearly every single time when you get up to make a comment. That way we know we have some individuals who will be on Zoom. That way they will be able to know who it is who is speaking. All current officials up for election will remain in their positions until the end of the meeting. And newly elected officials will be sworn in after the elected official article. Now you have been given your floor election ballot to check in. So please listen to what color ballot we are using for the floor election. These ballots will be deposited into this ballot box up here by Mr. Lovejoy. Mr. Lovejoy will direct row by row for you to be able to get up to come place your ballot within the box. So we have a systematic approach. Now, the Covington Town Foundation has provided funding for your morning snacks and also the yearly garden seed vouchers. Please see me after the meeting to acquire your vouchers, and the vouchers are one per household. The town of Coventry has provided funding for a delicious warm lunch following town meeting. So please make sure to stay and have food with all of our neighboring fellows. We do have 4 raffle items this year. We have 2 half gallons of syrup, and we have 2 birdhouses that are with them. At the end of town meeting, I'm assuming we will have some of these ballots left over. If you'd like to go ahead and use one of these ballots, you're going to bring it up into this box over here, and this is where we will do the actual drawing for the raffle item. Now, I would like to begin by welcoming all of you here today, because your presence matters. Town meeting is one of the purest forms of democracy. It's neighbors gathering together to make decisions that shape our community. And I am grateful to see so many engaged citizens here today. First, I would like to acknowledge and thank our town officials and staff, our select board and school board members, committee members, the election workers, volunteers, and municipal employees who dedicate countless hours, often behind the scenes, to ensure that our town runs smoothly. Their work is steady, thoughtful, and rooted in service. Please stand if you are a town or school official in any capacity. What I would like to stand for warm welcome to any new resident who may be attending their very first Coventry Town meeting. Moving to a new community and choosing to be here today speaks volume about your commitment to our community, but to your town. We are glad you're here, and we hope you feel welcomed and also heard. And at the same time, we pause to remember residents we have lost over the past year. These individuals have helped to shape who we are in both large and small ways, through public service, neighborly kindness, town leadership, or volunteerism. So let us take a brief moment of reflection in their honor. Now, what is town meeting? Town meeting is more than budget and articles. It is about stewardship of our Coventry future. The decisions made today will impact our roads, our public safety services, our schools, our infrastructure, and the quality of life we pass on to the next generation. I want to thank each of you who took the time to review the warrant, read the reports, and show up informed and ready to participate. Democracy requires effort. Democracy requires listening. Democracy requires respect for different opinions. And most importantly, democracy requires participation. Your attendance today reflects your belief that local government matters, and it does. And as we move through the articles on today's warrant, we encourage thoughtful discussion, civil dialogue, and patience with the process. Because every voice has a value. We may not always agree, but we do share a common goal. And that goal is the continued strength and well-being of our Coventry town, our Coventry community. So on behalf of the town officials, thank you for placing your trust in us. And thank you for exercising your right to vote. And thank you for demonstrating that democracy at the local level remains alive and well. That's the beauty of town meeting. It is uniquely ours. And since we are in the Northeast Kingdom, I'll just say this. We'll aim to move through the articles a little faster than mud season, but with the same steady determination that gets us through it year after year. Now I ask you to please stand and face the American flag as we fly for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of America.
Okay, with that, our town moderator will proceed according to the posted ordinance. So let the democracy begin.
I accept my book down, anyway, the Route 14, Route 4 after. No.
What's in there?
All right, non-voters, put your hands up. Nathan, Josh. Mr. Weeks. Ed, David, okay. Got them there?
Yep.
Okay. All right, town district business, Article 1, select a moderator for the ensuing year. Nominations.
I nominate Matt Maxwell.
Second. Any other nominations for town moderators? Okay, we'll have the town clerk cast one vote for Matt Maxwell for moderator. Article 2. Shall the voters of the town of Coventry increase the total membership of the select board from 3 to 5 members with 2 additional members, each serving a term of 2 years pursuant to 17 BSA 2650.
Move to ballot vote.
Second. Okay. Anybody want to talk about it? Okay.
Mr. Moderator, is it possible or out of the out of order to poll the voters to see if there's enough interest? You have 2 additional voters, 2 different select board members, not here for in the future. Because if this passes, then that's gonna obviously have 5 members, that increases your quorum. Right now, the 2, if you increase it to 5, it'll be like 3/4. So this has, I just don't want the town to end up in a position, a year from now, we don't have enough people showing up to help for me, for the meeting. Is that the other order to see if the board feel that there's enough interest?
Well, I think we've already moved to, Al photos.
They were ready to. Sorry, they were ready to finish.
I
Let's
guess.
make sure if we can say our name and stand when we are.
Wait, I heard, get the rules.
Yeah, man, I guess so, like, you guys, pros and cons, you guys talk about for having three or two.
Like Chris said, get having a forum, I think it'd be okay. It's more people input, more ideas, more people from doing work. And, you know, everybody all have different ideas. We'll bring more to the board and hopefully more members to the meeting. We can rent them.
Thanks, Bob. I would just like to add. To be a select board member. It's a huge responsibility here. These guys put a lot of time in, certainly not about the pay. And it's big dedication to try to understand what's going on in town. Use the advice from the professionals that we have hired, guide them. It's not just a place to run for select board and try to convince them that you're something you're interested in. It's for the people. The whole thing is about all the members of this town. They're on call. They check their emails every day. There's a lot to it. It isn't just once every couple of weeks and go to a meeting and kind of participate or not. It's a lot of dedication. So whoever runs for it, I hope they understand that it's not an insignificant assignment here.
Mark Norman, I assume this is something all the girl want?
No,
Oh, you hear?
I agree from my hand, but
He looked at you.
I give you important people. Good stand up for me. Good morning, everybody. The reason that this is before you to vote today is because the select board received a petition last summer from folks who wanted us to consider that. Under some legal scrutiny of that process, we were informed that what was brought to us was outside the state. And so our choices were to either return it to the folks that brought it to us and say, you need to reword this legally so that we can present it. Or we could just flat out deny it, decline it. What we decided to do as a group, with talking with some of those folks, is we said, we don't want to, just like we've been saying on a number of our groups, we don't really want a 3-person group of people to make such sweeping decisions. Those are for today. And so what we said was, whether we agree with you or disagree with you, I happen to disagree, so Carrie agrees, and that's how. I'll give you my thoughts on that process, but I wanted to tell you the process of it. And so what we said was we would bring it to you today and allow you to look at it, consider it. The reason that I am hesitant personally to go to the 5-member board is because I've had a couple of terms now on the board, 6 years, worked with various people, have learned a lot. One of the things that I've learned is none of us are ever professional municipal experts. We all bring certain backgrounds and positives to the board. However, we have developed a team of professionals here in the last number of years that are also outside contract
folks to help guide our decision making, our thinking. And so we're not the normal sort of rural Vermont town, I don't think. You've got, obviously, we have a lot of money considerations, we have a lot of moving parts in that area. So we've gone out and we've researched and we've gotten back for help. The board really needs to stay, I think, consistently focused on a group of people who can work together well, utilize the folks that we have around us, all special skills that we're bringing in, and ultimately do decisions. It doesn't usually complicate it to go to too many people to do that, but there are obviously some complications that can come from that. The other thing that I would say is I'm very leery about open meetings. We have really been compliant. There's only 3 of us, so we do our business together when it's here. We're not out in the community together doing that work. With a 5-member board, you can correct me in my comments, hopefully we do if I'm wrong, but you could see that get loosey-goosey. 2 members of a board aren't 4. So 2 members of a board can go have coffee, can go have drinks, can go do whatever they want to do, and be specifically talking town business with an effort toward achieving whatever personal desire we have. And to me, that really breaks down a lot of what that talk about. And what we've been really good at for a really long time, going way back, is not good enough. And so, you know, we receive the same information at the same time through the same channels. And we do our own homework and we talk to as many people as we can other than each other till we come to meet. And I think that's good, best, and healthy. Going to a 5-member, it's good. That's my piece, as you wish.
Pretty, but just a quick question on if this does pass today, when does it take effect? Would you end up electing 2 more members so that everybody votes next?
So if the vote is affirmative, those members, new members wouldn't be elected today. The select board would then have some responsibilities to figure out how they want it. Essentially, it's created 2 days.
So the appointments that.
It could be appointments or it could be a special town meeting or for 12 months. It would be up to whoever the board is, think through that.
Got it, thanks, okay. It might I got, maybe a couple of questions before. Have you had any issues over the last few years of not being able to hold any meetings because of COVID? Oh, you haven't. And I guess that I would agree with Scott that if we had a 5-member board, we can have a couple members that get together and hold discussions outside of the meeting, open meeting, and it's perfectly legal. But decisions amongst those 2 members could be made, brought down to the board. I just worry that we're a small community. I know there's another community, Burlington is went to a 5-member board, now they're going back to a 3-member board. I think they found it too unwieldy. And so I really caution us all, do we really want a 5-member board that could get a little out of control? I think the way our board is now, I spent 9 years on the board. We didn't have any problems with making quorum. We always had good open discussions, and there were times where not all of us agreed, but it was the majority that should rule. And in this case, you know, 2 out of the 3 was the majority. So I think during those years we've done a good job. I think now still doing a good job. I don't understand the reasoning behind expanding.
Bill,
Well,
Right now, you've got a board of 3, quorum is 2. So 2 people can make a decision for the entire town. And if there's really a dissent, that one person is gonna have to dissent, but they have no power, that third person. If we go to 5-person board, it allows now a decision, especially in this controversial, will require 3 people that all agree for that controversial decision in order for it to go into place. And that's a lot more difficult. That extra third doesn't sound like much, but that extra person is a lot harder. And 2 people who think alike can really come into a town. And right now, our board is working well together, everyone's doing good. But if you end up with 2 people on a board, they can really have it to a town very quickly. A lot harder when you have 3, 5 people. I understand the integrity of looking at whether or not you have those extra people, that 2 of them can get together and discuss issues. And the assumption here is that they're gonna discuss it in a way that may not be good for the town. But at least they have the ability to discuss it in a way that doesn't cause anxiety, anger, troubles up here on the board. And those type of things can be done outside the board and then brought forward, and still all decision making is still done by the board, by the 3 people, because they can make a decision of 5. The trouble we've got is right now, if there's special issues that need to be dealt with by our board, like say the garage or financial committee or whatever, you guys can't have any subcommittees. There's no ability for the board to meet and go over these complex issues separately, get the data brought down, get the information brought together with 2 people, then they bring it to the full board, and then it's discussed. Because otherwise, there's big events, there's big stuff that occurs, that's very difficult to get all of that done in a 2-hour meeting or 3-hour meeting twice a month. A lot of stuff ends up getting pushed off, it gets going out, we have at least 3 or 4 items right now from last year that the board hasn't dealt with this year. And it's because you guys are busy, you guys got a lot of stuff on your plate. And so if you have more people to spread the workload around, and those other issues can be at least dealt with and then brought to the meeting. That's what happens when you have 5. When you only have 3, nobody can meet outside the meeting to discuss any business, whether it be looking for an accountant or whatever it might be. There's no subcommittees, there's no other workload that's completed. That's the big gain of having 5. And when you start having the complexity of this town, now you're talking about a whole different issue. Now, right now, Scott's been willing to do really beyond normal for a select board member. He meets with a lot of other people, he does a lot of extra work that you may not get out of all of your select board that you elect. So now the stuff isn't, it's not gonna get done. If you at least can spread that workload around the 5 people versus 3, you do get other work done that doesn't get done. We have to trust the integrity of the people we elect, whether they're 3 or 5, you still need to trust their integrity.
I'm Mike Markow again. I just remind everyone that you have a town administrator that does a lot of that work already, that collects the information, is the person on the ground that brings that information back to the board. The board can have subcommittees. One person from the board can be part of that subcommittee and bring the information back to the board at meeting. So I guess I don't follow the argument where 2 more members of the select board is going to make things better. Being able to hold subcommittees and see what works around the town. Because again, we do have that town administrator, and if people want to volunteer without being elected to the board, sure the board would take the help and ask them. I know Jim has been part of that, working on the garage. There's other people, so I think that we have a well-functioning board, and I don't see a reason why we need to have those 2 members.
Yep. No, yeah, you go ahead.
Me?
Yep.
Awesome. Hey guys, Dan Cushing, resident for 5 years, first meeting here today with all of y'all, so thank you. There is a strength in moving slow. We tend to forget, especially nowadays when everything is wanted to be immediate now. If there are issues that are still being thought about and discussed from last year, let it be. That gives the board time to actually think through issues. How many times have we been present for or witnessed, even with state government? Oh geez, things are rushed through and then pulled back and amended and fixed. And now there's all kinds of confusion based on people trying to fix things that were pushed through. There's strength in moving slowly, think about the issues. And I think about my dad saying to me, it's not broken, don't touch it. I don't know how many times he like sternly say that to me as I start to mess around with stuff. I think that applies here too.
Oh,
Not a history. We don't know where we're going if we don't know where we've been. I had the distinction of chairing the planning commission when we went from 5 to 8 years. And the history is, we wanted a 5-member board back then. We were told by 2 members that it would never pass and they wouldn't sign. It's all mathematical as far as I'm concerned. 3 people making the decision of 5. But when you got 5 that are listening, more ideas get to be heard. I don't know if it's a good thing, but I do know that the amount of money that we're dealing with requires more than 2 people making the decision. And if it's a 3-member board, it's always just 2 that are going to control it. Not that they've done a bad job or a good job or a terrible job. The fact of the matter is, the more we get involved, the better off it will be. And we're in a town that's fortunate enough to have a bright future. I'd like to see it continue. And the more people involved, as we did on the planning commission back then, a lot of things that we thought about has come to fruition. I think a lot more can. And I agree, we don't need to be in a hurry.
all right, you ready to go on this one? Okay, which one's at the top?
Yes, so it's gonna be here. Now,
And you're saying yes, if you're in favor of the article, and no, if you're not.
We'll start with this one.
sorry.
It wasn't residential.
You know.
Not quite well.
I kind of snuck in.
Blocking the oil service, good luck. You keep leasing. Did you hear something?
Yeah. But.
Don't get line. What's that? There you go. I think it's the second process. We want the wrong. Weather, 60 degrees. Right here, I guess. Okay.
Huh? I know, but.
So. Hey, I know, I get it. Yeah. What's that? I parked right behind you. You know. Is everybody voting on this one? We should vote.
The most part.
I have a this. Oh, yeah.
We have 35 yes votes and 37 no votes, so.
That was counting, correct?
It was. Yeah, those were- Okay, Article 3, select the following officers required by law. A, select person, 3-year term.
I nominate Dan Rondo. Second.
My understanding is that it's morally usually not run against. I think we need someone that knows the town, that's in a position, that has been a town administrator, really knows the town well, that can really help the board. We've been to the board. I think that we need someone with an experience at time, so I know.
Okay, Dan and Matt, we got Mark.
I nominate Mike Markoff.
Thank you.
Okay, Ian, man, anybody else? Okay, we're gonna do ballot on this one too.
Yep, so let's do this time. Again, we're gonna start from the back row. Wanna go up? You have two options for this position. You have Matt Maxwell or Dan Rodda.
Add Dan. Yeah.
And of that, business owner, I was going to, like, meeting pretty consistently for last year, pretty in tune with where they're at, on the topics that they've been discussing. I think actually been saying very good, I look forward to relating their funds and ensure that, you know, I can see the need for our future generations. And then forward to do that, just listen to people and or what the work that have.
Hi, I'm Matt. Most of you know me. I've been a council guy my whole life. I've lived here versus my whole life. I think I can make the right decisions for this town. A lot of the things that are going on are projects that I've been involved with, you know, since the beginning. So I'd like to see them through, but, you know, Dan's a very fine choice. Everything he said is true. He comes to all the meetings, he's very involved, and you can't discount that. He's a good choice too, so. That you, good candidates.
Moderator, if Mr. Maxwell, who's first, right, so it happened, but it's moderator position,
Well,
it's not gonna affect the state statute.
moderate. Okay, you ready?
Right.
So you.
I had to get even with them. Oh, look at it. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Karen.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Maybe you got to shoot.
It's great. And, you know, if you're the right topic, you know.
I'm just as involved. I'm gonna slow. No. Mike's Gabby. Take care. Right. That's it.
We're looking at the new version.
Put that up.
Yeah, find the other one in there.
So I didn't hear it before when she said prep.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow.
She didn't really want her.
Well, yeah, but she's probably good at it.
It is, yeah, she's, yeah. So everything's going all awesome. I'm like right in this.
I know, I'm like trying to get out of it, but I think I only see, like, you can't see my head.
Nice seeing you.
Yeah, you
Ken.
too.
Everybody in on, 3 together A. Get a vote, so here. Getting it. Okay. Article 3, letter A, select person, Pat 51, Dan 21. Just want to thank you for the last 3 years. I've done this twice now. Always hard work, team effort. I chose not to throw a back in the ring this time because it's good and healthy for the job.
and have other people, come in and express their own thoughts and views and opinions, work with the group. Special skills, wherever they may have been, that I don't offer. So I think it's good. Was for no other reason other than that. Folks didn't say things like that before, it's healthy. Thank you all for working so hard the last 3 years and welcome that to the group, and I wish everybody well. I'll help them anyway.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right, Article 3, letter B, delinquent tax collector, 1-year term currently held by Kate Kelly.
I'll make that thing there.
Thank you. Oh, I have a talking.
Yes, Kate Fletcher. No, you're right. She called me and talked to me yesterday. She's unable to be here today. And she expressed that she was interested in maintaining her position. However, she couldn't be here today, and so she said if anybody was willing to nominate her, then she would accept that. So I found a of information.
Move into put Kate in.
Thanks, Mo. Any other nominations for the position of delinquent tax collector? Go ahead, Deb.
My reason for running is definitely this past year, we have had issues, within this particular job function. There's definitely has been a break of communication between the town and to our residents who are delinquents. I would like to try to come in and actually connect that communication back. I've had a lot of residents who have come to me. So this is the reason for my desire to try to go ahead. We need to have that bridge connected between our the taxpayers and the tax. That is their rights, that is our obligation, and want to provide that to them. Currently, that's not being met. So that's I'm interested.
David? David Barlow, town treasurer. Yeah, unfortunately, there's been lengthy periods this year where the delinquent tax collector, the incumbent, has not been doing the job. We're in one of those right now. There's 2 months worth of payments that have not been entered into the system. And as far as I can tell, letters haven't been sent, the monthly required letters to delinquent tax payers haven't been sent out in months. So that causes lots of trouble for the front office. Deb in particular is the target of the ire from delinquent folks that are delinquent that want to know how much they owe. As a treasurer, I struggle to figure out what's going on and, of course, account for it as best I can. But the delinquent tax collector has a statutory responsibility to record payments, and that's not happening. It hasn't been happening all year, only sporadically. So it's been very troublesome. So I'd like to see, as a treasurer, I'd like to see some change, something to fix that situation.
Okay, purple? Yep. Okay. Yeah, okay.
Wait, why is this yellow? Okay, I already read it. Oh, I have to pay, that's why. Where they are curtains.
I've already bought it. Yeah, the line. Yeah. There's been other things with it too.
Hold on, could do us.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, good deal.
Now.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I'm actually.
Like 6 a.m.
I still don't know who did that.
Yes, everything for.
You don't come help me.
Get retired, he's working on.
One day.
I mean, I think it's.
Really God. Yeah.
Oh, you go down there. Yes, that good old challenge.
You don't sell it? Oh, you just.
All right, local tax collector, 1 year term, Deb 6883.
Thank you very much. I am a firm believer as with the town that we should have segregation of duties. My intent with the delinquent tax collector for this year is to get that established, that communication bond back with our residents who need us. And then if there is anyone of you here today would like to go ahead and resume this position next year, I would be more than happy to have you sit down with you, go through the proper procedures according to statutes, to make sure that that's actually being followed. But I would be very happy to go ahead and furnish it over onto one of you. So if I don't get anything, I may be firing. Again, thank you very much. Helping out our voters, and thank you for acknowledging that. And
All right, Article 3, letter C, Cemetery Commission, 2-year term. Spot is this? Melissa Kahn, currently held by Lisbon.
I'd like to nominate Melissa Bond. They did not be here today, but I would so like to change it.
Second.
Any other nominations for Cemetery Commission? Great, hearing none, the town clerk cast 1 vote for Melissa Kahn. Article 3, letter D, first constable, 1 year term. This is Pedro. Currently held by Pedro Grandin.
nominate Pedro Braga.
Second.
Any other nominations? Okay, town clerk, please cast 1 ballot for Pedro, so first. Thank you, Pedro. Article 3, letter E, second constable. You'll say 1 year terms.
Second.
Any other nominations? Okay, town clerk, please cast 1 ballot for Mr. Sandhill, second constable. Article 3, letter F, planning commission member, 2-year term. Amanda, currently held by Amanda Husson.
I nominate Amanda Hussey.
Second.
Any other nominations for planning commission? Okay, let's cast 1 vote for Amanda Hussey. Thank you, Amanda. Article 3, letter G, planning commission member, 2-year term. This is Pedro Grandin. Currently.
Pedro Braga.
Thank you. Anybody else for planning commission? Okay, now clerk, please cast 1 ballot for Pedro Grandin. Thanks, Pedro. Article 3, letter H, trustee of cemetery funds, 1 year term, pretty currently
I nominate for Nika.
Oh, thank you.
The other nominations are agreed. Please pass one to ballot for prevention.
Thanks, pal.
Okay, Article 4, shall the voters of the town of Coventry vote to appropriate the sum of $951,000 in $951,821 for support of fiscal year 2027 town liabilities, general fund expenses and transfer, of which all such raised by non-tax revenues received with landfill host. You?
Second.
We want to talk about it, please, go ahead.
39. On the specific line item question on the sheriff department side of things, compared to, I think in 2025, we went above what they were at this year. I'm not sure where it ended up, but that allocation of 16K that we have for this year enough to cover sheriff's department.
Thoughts on enough of that. Yeah, there's a little bit of there's some variables there, right? We really are spending on the need. I think we did overspend that line and borrowed from other places, at least once that I know of, because we authorized help. So I don't know how much is that hit about 50.
I counted
Less than about $700 million.
And we're not overspending the current expense.
I'd say we're within the bounds of reason.
the year and over, yeah.
It's tough to overspend just because the availability of the sheriff is quite limited. So
In the prior years, we were okay. I think it was 2020, FY25, it's a blip.
Last year we had abnormal issues,
Okay.
for sure, but I can.
Where we specifically picked up the phone and call and ask for extra coverage on certain domains or certain areas, or certain firms. Okay, and they were very gracious with that, but they didn't write it down. I'll just any questions. I'm very fortunate. I'm very fortunate. I think you kind of have to use the number.
Okay.
For now.
Anything else on Article 4? All right, everybody that is in favor of Article 4, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Good. Article 5. Shall the voters in the town of Coventry vote to appropriate the sum of $485,106 plus Vermont state aid funding for support of the fiscal year 2027 town highway fund expenses for summer and winter road maintenance, of which also be raised out of tax revenues. Thank you, please. Hello. Good. Nice. Good. Ready? Okay, all those in favor of Article 5, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That's it. Good. Article 6. Shall the legal voters, the town of Coventry, appropriate the sum of $298,324 for summer 2026 paving projects to be paid with fiscal year 2027 funds. You.
Second.
Thanks. Anybody talk about Article 6? What road? Roads this year are Webster Road, which is top coat, base coat, last year, so like that top coat. And then there are two smaller sections, one is Cleveland Road, which is Boundary Brown, up about past the interstate. And that's a stretch of road that has everything sort of asphalt everywhere around it, so truck chasing. And same goes for Piet Road. Piet Road is off from Pine Hill. Small little jog up toward the interstate, that end from the same purpose. Now they should have Glen Road and Pine Hill, all marked off. That one was sort of not forgotten, but it's sort of bypassed. The opportunity here that you mentioned up there. Good, Vic.
Thank you, Webster's. My question is in the provinces. Okay. It's presented to us as finishing a road and then you starting another road, so it kind of seems like the goal is to call the road, is that the goal of the board is presenting to us? The way it's presented every year, or is there going to be an opportunity for a stopping point if we need it to all the roads to come here? A gentleman earlier said, you know, it's not joke, don't fix it, it's actually just beautiful services. But I've never driven on it, it just seems like a shame you're spending $1,000. Is something that.
Well, quite a question was asked when I first came on the select board. What is the plan? What are the paving plans? And the answer was, leave them all. I tried to, at last town meeting, if this was brought up, what do they cost? Are they saying? It's really hard to figure out, especially their paved roads. I came up with what the town is spending on or will spend on paving. I've come up with, well, we spent $3,792 and change to date on paving from 2019. They should last, talking to paving contractors, they should last 5 to 7 years. We could not pave them for 10 years and it would cost us less, but we could have bad roads. So the way we've done it now, and what we've spent in going a 7-year term, it's about $28,000 per mile per year. And that's we haven't done any maintenance on. And I think the maintenance must be crack ceiling, am I right?
Correct. Well, then it gets to a point that you're gonna have to mill it off. That's what I'm telling you. Some point, you guys don't wanna look into even taking a couple of years off from paving. Then do a little data yourself, like to fix their existing power roads. And then you actually have to know what's gonna be cheaper in the long run before you slam tire on all of them. That's kind of my thought.
It's just Nathan, who actually stand up.
Good.
So this is Nathan Standish, and he is our road foreman, for those of you who may not know. I just wanted you to be able to put a face to his voice when he's.
It's kind of my thought.
A good time to try to do now with these. They've done a great job this year.
So if I understand what you're suggesting is that there really isn't a cost savings paving, or is there?
Well, I have not figured out, we haven't kept good enough track to put a price on a dollar per mile per year for dirt roads. It's hard how much time, labor with grading and ditching and gravel costs, we could keep better track of where we put gravel and hours on grading and everything that goes to dirt roads, we have better numbers. I'd have to believe that dirt roads are cheaper than.
Well, I would say, yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing is, you already have a lot of your fixed costs, you already have your grader, you already have a gravel pit. We've already got the men, so it's work that the expertise that we don't have as a town, we don't have to hire it out. Their cost is already being borne by budgets already. But we don't have the expertise to maintain and to pay. We don't have the baby equipment, we don't have.
We never will have PPE.
That's what I mean, right, or, you know, so, I mean, so there really isn't a cost savings, if you look at the road budget, I don't believe there's been any cost savings in cost of maintaining roads
Okay, so the second, you know, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, before 2019, I don't think any of those numbers show that. I don't think anyone's calculated that, but. Is there anyone?
I don't think we're saving money paving roads. That's what you're getting at.
Right, that's what it is, right, okay,
I can't tell you what dirt roads cost us.
right, but there's not definitely a savings. In paving over having dirt,
I'm gonna say no, with no number to give you what dirt roads cost.
but there's no numbers for the other one either.
And I don't think I don't think we've wasted our money paving the road. There's a good road that has no maintenance. I think we just need to think about what we want to drive on. I personally don't like the paved roads. I'd rather drive on a dirt road because, but people come to the barn and they're mad, they gotta wash their car. They don't like the dirt in their brakes, so it's just something that we all need to think about. And I've had many people, now that we're paving a lot of roads, come to me and tell me they don't want the paved roads. One lady every day tells me that she doesn't. Other people. I'm not gonna mention that name. So to say that we're blowing our money on the paved roads, I don't know. I think we're spending more money on the paved roads. If the dirt roads costed more, I'd still want the dirt road unless they were paved. I just love living on a dirt road and so there's so many things.
It goes on. I think that one of the other figures that should be added into your cost, plus or negative, whatever, is the tax rate and the new buildings that we might get or businesses that we might get into this town because we have a payment.
Devin, I'd like to, Devin, him up there, I'd like to kind of counter that with the environmental side of things. Salt's expensive, we don't have it, we gotta buy it, so that's more money on top of the, what, $28,000 a mile. I don't know how much salt we spend, but I'm imagining that's. Including that time you spend on this. It also disrupts a lot of wildlife. I'm kind of a nature nerd that doesn't lend itself, so. We all need salt. It's electrolyte. Mammals need the salt. We need mammals closer to the road because of the salt, more impacts, more vehicle collisions, more deaths potentially. Not gonna say it's gonna happen, but I can guarantee you that I've seen. It also ends up in the watersheds. Water goes downhill, carries the salt with it, ends up in the lakes. The salinity of the lakes, even Magog, is going up pretty bad, and it's also causing a lot of environmental issues in that regard. So, you know, something else to think about. We have the same, so why not use it? It'd be better. Like when other guys said earlier, might as well slow down a little bit, think these through, maybe in, you know, maybe in 10 years or 7 years, whenever the paved roads are back, we'd have time to think of a new system for taking care of roads. More or less what I have. Richard?
Richard Lucia, town crew, do you have any opinion of high road as opposed to dirt road when it comes to plowing this wonderful white stuff we have out here?
I'll make them again, but the power roads, when it's cold, it's harder to maintain because they do not bear out. That's the fact. You get blow wet, figure it's 12 degrees or whatever, they don't bear on. Then you gotta have sand go in the paint. But it's one negative and salt's 107.
Here's that. How many tons of salt do you guys go through a year on average? This year, I mean, we're at 350 or I don't know, we probably 300, 310. I'll probably get some more truckloads. Got some, or whatever, let's do it. 370, 380 this year. Yep, got pretty easy for this. Go ahead.
Pretty good. Got a couple of questions on that. So how many roads are actually left that are currently dirt over that where people trying to pave it? That's one. Let's give you all so the answer together. The second one is if we follow your recommendation, we kind of pause that the paving where that exists. Are we planning on collecting data, for example, to figure out how much that cost is going to be over the next, how long will we be collecting that data for, kind of get an understanding of it? Yeah, those are the two main questions, on how many roads are left, and if we do pause, what's our plan?
I believe an estimate would be roughly 18-ish miles or left there.
Okay.
So that'd be what's left to go, and then like, oh, just when Dan was asking, there was been a few other ones, restrictions area. They split up the south and have like a breach, and then I'd actually have to go and figure out use for sand, gravel, salt.
Basically start.
An hour, so there's nothing in the past, and this is my third year going on.
Right.
I don't have a long trail that actually present when we go, here, you can just.
No, I got you, that's what I'm asking, right, so if we do pause.
That'd be like a starting of this year, like I was saying, say if we're regular night swell or whatever, I'd see what it was in for sand, how many hours it took to actually count it up, or it. And then you actually have that over there for a few years and see. Is it stay good or is it more?
So it'll take a few years before.
That's
we get back
my
in favor.
personal thought, I mean, you got to let it sit a couple of years, see how the gravel's gonna hold.
Okay.
Back.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, we talked about this last year, talked about it earlier in the year for a bunch of years, and, the should having this meeting on this issue before this day. And I say it that way because what is being presented is a top coat. You don't top coat, road is already base coated, what's the money? Okay. So what the select board did this year was we put out the bid the 3 roads that we just talked about. And what we also did was did not lock ourselves into that contract based upon approval. So you don't approve it, you don't have a contract, it's gone. You do approve it, then we go forward and give it a contract for the price. With all of that said, this is the business of what we're dealing with right now, away from the, I get it, I hear it, I agree with a lot of it. Away from the opinion of one versus the other, sort of not where you're at in this moment. This moment is the business reality of the Webster Road, which is based on really need thought about that, wasted a lot of money. The other 2 small roads are not based, those are base coats. So you certainly could think through that piece, and I have those numbers to reduce the amount in that line item. With the knowledge, probably that being reduction of tonnage of asphalt issue is going to drive the other road up in your tonnage. So just throwing you numbers, so you kind of think about it a little bit. Webster Road, top road is 168,000. Okay. The TS Road, the base code is, I'm just rounding off this 1,000, but it's 22,000. At the base unit. The Cleveland Road is 107. So 168,000 of this total figure is for a top coat that you really have to do, because we made the decision last year to base. If you want to say, let's pause those new base coat roads, then we would probably be safer for somebody to help us create a number. I don't know who. Say, probably we don't want to do that dollar for dollar because we're probably going to be a little short based on the tonnage. We have a reserve balance. So if we just, this is why I'm cautioning us here, can't undo it. If we just do math and we say we don't want base coats, I would suggest it be an amount allowing the select board up to that amount. Hopefully the asphalt companies aren't listed. And give them some flexibility to renegotiate that price on that road. The next piece that I would say is, the next select board, man, that's a lot better job. This year, and I think this discussion has to happen. With maps, with layouts for the town, with more work and effort that Dan has graciously spent countless hours trying to do for us. With professionals involved, help us with that, so that you can look at the whole map, the cost, the 10-year, 20-year, 30-year stuff, build that all into your thinking, but then make decisions to direct the board on what you want to do on it. Trying to pick it apart right here is a little bit dangerous with the money, especially when you've already got invested.
Okay, I'm gonna hand up in the back, there's six, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, some of these back roads, farm equipment, heavy farm equipment, is it gonna hold up 5 years? Or are we wasting our money having to fix it every year? Because Watson has very heavy equipment going up and down my road.
Yeah. Thank you for everything you've done. But you should put professional in front of you, right, with the next one, so I don't leave you up. 5 years, I don't know, how long has it been since the station road was started?
7.
It's 7 years, and it's had a lot, super, 7 years, because I just got back. And so, you know, I hear that, but there's a lot more that goes into that conversation, like, you know, the actual base of the road, the culvert system, the drainage, the work that the town has done, for a long, long time, you know, just didn't do, you know. When you drive Pine Hill, that's a good, great example, right? The Derby and Pine Hill is already going to heck, right? And we believed at the same time, because they don't have the base, they didn't put their money into all of that infrastructure underneath the tar, so they're probably looking at 5 to 6 years. Yours is gonna go 3 times or more, so there's a lot to think about, there's a lot. Contemplate, I don't know what's, I'm not even on one side or the other, I'm just trying to say, make sure you're making those decisions on facts. The professionals involved in the conversation rather than we don't know along.
Gary and Jeff.
Okay, if I recall correctly, a couple of years ago, Pike was at one of our meetings and one of the roads in town never got pothole. Those Main Street, this one up here. So how is that done? How's that held up? 1 year, but that's the top.
There are considerable cracks.
Yeah.
But it's nothing bad or anything.
You never did have that forward. So, nothing was that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeffrey?
Jeff Wilson, so one of the things that, how to, one of the issues that we're having is the roads, like some of the gaps that we're trying to fill is going from paved, we just have dirt in the middle. I know that does cause some problems with grading. When you're having to go through and have short sections, so that's something I'd like to hear from how much of an issue that causes, and then reflection of last year's issue. Are we going through when we're selecting roads to be paved? Are we talking to the people on the roads and getting their input? That way that can be presented in the future ones. Whether people on that road really want it or if they're really opposed to it. But I know your guys' road was one of those hot topic ones. So I think that would be useful going forward in the future to make sure we collect that and make it from the rest of these. Yeah, this.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And we haven't done that, certainly not adequately. We've heard from people, but we've not taken the initiative, not on board. There's other variables too with classes, right? You have a class 2 road or a class 3 road, there's state. What's the state match on 9% of the class 2 stuff? So there's a lot to the project, right? When the town does, and really should try to work hard on this next year, because it's been a super good plan, like what we're trying to do on the cards right here. Is to take all those factors into consideration, looking at your whole math and class twos, class threes, working at how does that offset this one or that one, and get the whole complete picture. Again, you know, whatever people want. I hear both sides of the coin, whatever people want, and then put the price tag to whatever we want, and then see if it's left out. That's kind of what you gotta do. You can't get there today, but I hear everybody's.
Yes.
So one quick thing, and Nate can probably expand on this fifth thing like ours. Another reason why Piet Road was placed on the list is because we do have the other adjoining roads that are already paved. Then the town road crew is taking our equipment, the grader, a different dump truck that has their installed. That's being trucked up to that one portion of that road to just maintain that road. Is that correct?
Correct, like right now I plow all the car and Josh plows the River Road, he's gonna go with Sin or go all with Piet. But me Piet was be a smart one, I know it because then I can do that whole lane, I would tie that up. You gotta pop up, this is what I do, just pop up that, to track that.
That's.
But never adding on more than that, I wouldn't look into seeing where you're gonna save, but Piet would tie up, I mean, I do Glen Road, Pine Hill. Only one will pick her off of me. Short, cost much.
That's really why you got what you got in front of you. We've been spending $700,000 a year for a while. And if we let's draw that back down. The reason that we've selected those that are in front of you today is just exactly for what they're talking about, just again, facts on the ground. Whether decisions were wonderful or whether they weren't last year, 10 years ago, that they were made, where you are. And so, top coach should be done, it's good business. And then those other two rows are being chased right now, so it is costing extra money, extra time for good. And so, in those two smaller sections, getting a hard surface does eliminate all of that for the road crew for which down in the budgeting. But that's sort of where we saw, right? So we did that based on for common sense, and then look for bigger decisions.
Actually, and so it's related and then you have some lots of different parts. So on that note, I should say something on behalf of my kids, police who ride their horses on paved roads, that I would not be upset to if there's a case another road, so that will be after. But you know, that's my daughter rides her horses on roads, and two things: one, cars drive at the same fast, terrifying as a parent to have your kids riding bikes, riding horses, whatever. I mean, it is. People are driving fast on all the roads, and our dirt roads are so nice. Yes, but the paved roads, it's a whole another level. And we're all, I caught myself doing it really, it's easy to drive fast, but it's really scary when, you know, I have my kids out on these animals on the roads, and then functionality thing, one of our horses here, horseshoes and paved roads are like ice. So it's just a whole other level of, and not a favorite activity part of this, so that, and the sound is harmless. So just, I noticed nobody's gonna go, how much does it cost to rip up the road? And what happens if no, we'll wait for money if we don't do the top. How much is it gonna cost? We just rip it up to go back. Person who lives on Webster Road, I buried this place so close to the paved road. I tried the first time I drove on it. I struggled with it, and I appreciated Jeff's comment about asking. Because I do feel like it affects those people. I feel like this whole thing was started with a 3-member board who didn't ask the community of that. And now we're at a point where it's starting to affect all of us and the people who didn't, you know, like me, who maybe didn't foresee this earlier. It's kind of like, wait a second, like this is getting too far. I mean, I moved here, our name is Deb. And I love it. I love Coventry. I'm doing the patients, but I won't. But the dirt roads were part of that. And, you know, we use an argument sometimes, or I've heard it before, where, you know, people who move in and try to change the things that are there. It's kind of annoying to people who live there. Well, we live here, and there are people who are not happy with the things that are being changed. So I guess if the whole town wants all roads to be paved, I guess I can be okay with it. I'm fine at that future town meeting. But I do feel like we need to give it out, stop being roads, and maybe the solution to, you know, trucks having to go out and change whatever is to rip off some of the trucks. It's probably cheaper.
My name is Mary Cobb, and I just want to say, I totally agree. I lived here from that state and did a traffic that was 60 roads. I think a lot of men, the country is beautiful. Paved roads and if they want to, sorry.
Devin, Mayor Walker again, I don't understand the argument of why it'd be wasting money to not to talk to them. You just said this road right out here, no one doesn't have any equipment on, no one doesn't have traffic. You said this not here, we just base coat last hour long. Just the other day, going up the road, I've already seen cracks and start to see quite a bit of wear on the base coat. Does that mean that top coat's just gonna be turned shit in however long? I mean, if the base and foundation is already poor, if you put some more money on top of that, then why wouldn't that also be more? That's just my thought on it. I would be a waste of money, just run it how it is, and then maybe when it needs to be replaced, tear it back up. And I do understand how much of a pain it is when you got to go way up there and switch your equipment around and all that. I do understand that. And I agree with it. It's just, I see both sides, but I just don't understand how it'd be a negative thing to not do it. That's
Jerry.
So my understanding this, if we vote on this, there's a contract in place for this start.
The contract that has been readied for signature, that's how you get the numbers.
So if we vote yes on this,
Yeah.
contract is going to.
Yeah.
If we don't, then we go back to the board, but if this goes through the contract, and they just do the top coat, no offense, Megan, but I'm going down a different road here. If they do top coat on Webster Road and not do the base coats on the other one. Will they honor their price for doing the top? Or if we don't fulfill the whole,
That's based on a tonnage
they have to do it all.
for that price, for that
There's no
price.
strict top. Other than Webster. So. My next thing is I totally agree with Megan that. So what determines when our town gets to a point that the roads for 2019 are now turning to grass? They're gonna cost us money to pave. Grind it all up, chip it all up and put it all back to dirt. What turns this for the town? Who decides this? How do we do that? I don't know, but I just would like to know that, okay, in 2 years, the road from 219 is gonna have to be done, so we put in a contract that we're gonna see if we can have signs have it all in place. I'm totally not for paving, I'm sorry. I agree with Megan and whoever else to that this should happen, but I just wanted to clarify, if we sign this and do it as a contract, that it has to be done based on. That you just said yes. If we sign it, if we agree to this, you say you do the contract and we have the base coat and the top.
This is not your contract.
I get that.
So
This is tied to a contract. Article 6 is tied to that contract.
it's tied to a contract price based on the 3 roads together.
Okay.
So if you start to eliminate 1 leg or 2 legs then the remaining leg price will drive higher. Is what we're told by the company who provide these, so.
So as it stands now, the Webster Road, if it does not get a top coat, it's just not gonna last as long as the others, then we'll do that, so instead of lasting 7 years, it might last 4. So we can dig it up earlier than 7 years. I want her to.
And so, can I try to answer that anyway? So my suggestion, and I know we did this last year, I apologize, I'll follow second. What the town should do for paving is put in as much physical effort as we did this year, provide you with information that we're going to for the garage. We spent, when I say we, I mean Jim. And a bunch of us spent so much time hearing the work that we're going to give you to look at for the garage, because it's a massive project. We need to do that for you as a select board. I said, you guys need to do that much effort again, so that you're not in this discussion year after year after year, talking about one road or the next road or any of the conversation we're having. I get it. I don't even know what side I'm gonna be on. I happen to have a spouse who's the opposite, by the way. So, but that's what needs to be done. The town needs to have a plan with pretty maps, with prices from professionals, with boots on the ground, out there looking at the condition of all of it, with strategies going forward, a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year cycle, looking at your class roads and doing all that outside of town meeting with a whole bunch of open meetings along the way. And then maybe we poll the town, maybe we send cards out. We've done that stuff with other projects, and that's what really, I'm insensitive. That's what really should happen. Doesn't help you for today, whatever your decision is for today, but just do whatever you want for your money.
To answer Megan's question, it's $15,000 to $20,000 a mile to reclaim.
Dan, I know just a question about Cleveland Road to get road from town commissioner. Are those roads in good shape currently to put pavement on? Even though, if I remember right, constantly full of potholes and one hole continuously throughout the season. I don't know that yet, but set up. And if they're not, what would it cost to get them in a condition?
The road would be easy to do. Cleveland Road, there's a couple colors or blades, then there's one spot. I think there's a spring rain, travel in the road. Or a pump up for it. Jim, I would think one of the biggest things that whoever decides what's going to be paved, what's going to stay dirt, they want the second best top coat was the usage. And we have through roads here that, no question, you gotta do that top set, Airport Road. And Coventry Station Road, second one that was used a lot. Webster Road, I don't see a lot of traffic. You know better than I, but even my road here, Interville Road, quite stayed well, I think. Not a lot of traffic there. And one of the attractions to Emeryville Road, unfortunately, is the fact that of all the roads in this town, people like walking in their bed.
Yeah, so we can vote yes for this, no for this, or we can't alter it today, but the change would be the part. Right, thank you. You ready? We're ready for this. Can we, you voted all for? You can fit the
dollar amount.
So I'll make a motion to amend the amount to $250,000 onwards the authorized sales board minimum. $250, so that y'all can make sure that between Webster Road and Piet Road, there's something. Right, you weren't done because you Piet Road this is.
That was fine.
Okay, I mean, listening to our expert, I'd say that, given the fact that we don't know what that contract stuff has, when authorized, all that's up to 250. Then you guys can go negotiate under that now, that's it. Well,
I'm not gonna be here.
right, well, to do, Webster Road, assuming I wanna do that, and then PM Road.
So the fear with changing the price and then or amending the price would be. If we came back at them with an amended price, they might not uphold their end of the contract, is that what I'm thinking?
It's a per unit, per tonnage, the company, all states construction has given us their one of this. For that amount, and so, you know, if you would pick 2 more roads to do this year, tonnage. Would have gone it's fine, and so I can't answer that specific question. You know, and it's. With paving, we have been very successful. We say keep what's done, but. We saved quite a lot of money for what we've done. Because. The select board has been working with. The local asphalt companies. 6 months ahead of time, to be the first at the trough, right? And they have always honored that amount, so if their prices go up. They don't come back on it, they've been very, very good at that. This was a price that was established a few months ago. So you're risking, there's risks in doing this. I understand what you're talking about. I don't support it financially. But I get it mentally. If there's a pick and a try on there, you might get a big surprise. On the unit increase. And you might end up with the same amount of money.
Okay, wait, before we do anything else, did you amend this motion?
I made an amendment.
Okay, so we're not doing anything else until I hear a second on the amended motion.
Second.
Thank you. Now we want to discuss the amended main motion.
So. Dan Cushing, so just on within the rules, you're saying that right now. The
Right now,
only
you're
thing that's being
discussing the
discussed
amendment
is the amendment.
Yeah, the amendment that we made, up to 200, the select board to spend up to $250,000, right? That's it for summer pay. That's what we're discussing right now. Please don't discuss anything else besides that. It's gone on long enough.
Okay, so then if Commander made a plan 10 years ago and we're at this point in time and we want to amend stuff to move away from this and shift this and move our troops here and select new battle plan and move our sites and objective over here, I think this is opening the door to a whole lot of FUBAR. I would, I want to stay within the lines, so please give me some leeway if I go outside them. I would not recommend the amendment. And look at this motion overall, yes or no, and if no, then what to do about it, and if we need a new plan, then we should have a new plan before starting to piece stuff together. Thanks.
Right.
I'm sorry, I would just caution us, I think. Things that are going on in the Middle East right now are driving oil prices sky high. And if I'm not mistaken, this has to do, paving has a lot to do with oil and the cost of it. And if we start changing the amounts and changing what we're planning on doing, then I think the price would even be higher over my prices here.
That's what I'm saying. Meters, if you do that. Michael, right,
And have,
out of your control.
we don't have a contract, but I think guaranteed
That's
until
today. So, tell us if you want.
So I think it's up to us
hold it up one way or the other, a lot of amendments, because I think we may not even be able to get that done for that project.
That's exactly where I would be on the business side of that, what should I do, for the moment. Without discounting everything that I've heard, and I agree with it, town's gotta do a better job. We will, they will, but today, to monkey around with it, a lot of moving parts. You're probably making.
There's an amendment.
That's
a second.
So I didn't vote it down.
We can vote, yeah.
Because
So-
I said,
Yeah,
You finished?
all right, then I would send my, as long as you're second.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll second.
I got you, Brady.
I
do the notice of it.
I know this one's touchy, so do you want a voice voted or ballot?
Voice.
Voice. Okay,
or raise a hand.
here we go. Shall the legal voters, the town of Coventry, appropriate the sum of $298,324 for summer paving 2026 to be paid with fiscal year 2027 funds. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed?
No.
Show of hands. We're all in favor. Put your hand up if you're in favor of the article.
Who's counting?
Not Megan.
One of these constantly get hired and called down.
Is somebody counting?
Matt.
I am. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's over the 50%. Go ahead, so call the public, get your hands up. I'll count those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I got it.
We just have bigger mouths.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Fair Carlo would like to say that we want to.
Go for it.
Hi, morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jennifer Harlow, I'm your sheriff, but I just want to stop in and say hi real quick, and if they have any concerns or questions, you can stop by and see me, or give me a call anytime, so. Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys have your stay.
Yeah.
Private.
Okay.
I know we sort of been, had some very good discussion this morning. I want to make sure Article 7 is going to have some good discussion. Should we stop and have lunch or?
Everybody wants to do it.
That's like, girl, oh, we can refer.
Okay, let's go back. I'll go with that. Seven, obligation notice of the town of Coventry, the amount of $2,500,000 to be financed over a term not to exceed 5 years, subject to available grants aid we issue. Subchapter 1 of Chapter 53 of Title 24 of Vermont statute mandated for the construction of a new town garage. So you, second, and you. Let's go first.
Can I just ask, what did you just say?
I think both of it's legal jargon, but basically that we're gonna finance the town garage over 5 years with $0.5 million.
This question on the grants, I will identify what those are, how long they are, what are the fences that must affect you getting grants. The 2.5 million for 5 years, we're looking at about paying interest payments, right?
What was the first part?
Wants to know about if there's any grant.
Okay,
What are they?
I'm here, town administrator. Yeah, I've been in touch with the state, currently there's none, but they're gonna let us know and I'll stay on top of it. There are some available, and I checked with some other towns. Then they've recently built garages, and they didn't have a lot of luck with grants either.
Dan?
As far as grants, I would suggest working closely with the emergency management director and your planning commission, maybe there's other moves like across as a shelter or something like that, some added block grants that may be available that are not looking directly at both budget, but other options.
Oh, I hesitate to do this. Don't die of song, but.
So what, just so we go back there.
Also, the two, Jim, you're gonna talk here, get ready. The 2.5 million is an amount that we put forward to you to consider based upon an estimated preliminary development budget. Not a contract, not like what we just talked about with paving. The reasons for that are because huge project, we've been at it for 2 or 3 years, right? We've slowed it down. We've expended some money, $130,000 or so at this point to get the project in front of you. There's blueprints there. Jim's gonna talk in a minute and probably got some. Yeah. Right back, back wall.
Bring them up here, what's wrong?
You know, there's some things back there for you to look at. The professional who developed this for us, based it on their experience, current condition, cost, everything else, you know, all of those things. The ask, the article is based upon that number, right, minus cash on hand, David can talk with that, possible grants. And then flexibility, right, the board is gonna have to have some flexibility. I first it, but I don't think it's cost 0.5. It's an inflated number, so the board didn't get it. But there's a lot of places I think that can be brought down. Jim.
Good job. Like Scott said, there's been a lot of planning in this. Our architects and engineers have come up with plans that are up back here. It's a much needed building for this town. Last year, we basically asked if you have a appetite here to put up a new building. At the time, going by information from other towns, we were suggesting $1.5 million. And this number, the high number, so it's goes by the architect, planning for price increase next year and all. But also, concept is better to ask more than less, so we don't have to keep coming back. And whatever's left over, obviously, we put back to the town, spending unwisely. It's a very specific building. Prints are here, everything about it. It's specified, it's right down to the detail of the lights or whatever. The building is about 5,000 square feet. Housing, well, 3 bays. There's a firewall between office, bathrooms and all that, making a hallway, mezzanine above that, storage. And so a second thought, like what was just brought up, certainly for the area, this gives a building that the state recognizes as a shelter. This not recognized as a shelter, nor is the school, because it doesn't offer showers. So, and along with that, you know, there was a group that has not finished, followed through 100%, but what about that time that we need a shelter here? It could happen. Could be with electricity for weeks, and so some people will leave the shelter. There was plans that, you know, having supplies, cots, all that hasn't been given a place to store that, where we did not have it here. We didn't have that space. So it's not just town work. It can be a shelter too. That could be, we're just sheltering our own people, shelter for the area. That would be recognized by the Red Cross and the state. Buildings we got are built to support what we were doing at the time. We contracted out a lot of our business to others and your family, and that has all changed. This town wanted to include it, you know, do it ourselves. We came up with extra trucks, equipment. There's $140 million worth of equipment sitting out here. Needs to be housed, maintained, taken care of, And village we presently have do not offer that in an adequate way. These guys have to take the big snow plows off those trucks, get the truck in the garage. They put the backhoe that we bought in front of those trucks, just so it's inside. This building in town holds the grader and one-ton truck, I believe. It is on its last leg, this building. It's not a building that this town should even ever consider rehabbing, putting money into, furnace, anything. It's given us its time. The other building that we currently use is realistically having some serious issues. The way it was built, I believe Don Gallup, I would look at it that he was very frugal with town money. And he built a building that worked 35, 40 years, whatever it is. Ceiling is falling down. It's an plywood, but an OSB ceiling. Because of the way the structure was built, there's no ventilation, not enough insulation in it. And the tin work on the roof is just got ribs under it, no weatherproof or anything. It has rotted the OSB and possibly the rafters. We have not suspected that part. It needs a lot of work. We looked into adding on to it. If you add on to it, it would do what the school had to do, sprinkler system in. And bring everything in that building up to code once you start touching this, which is very, it's just not up to what the state requires once you start touching this. And so great building for storage. We really needed this building. And so that's kind of where we're at. $2.5 million was a high number. Purposely so that there is enough funds there. And I think we can trust the select board to spend it wisely and keep the costs down and return what's not used. We're hoping to put it out to bid so that start a year from this summer, spring. That gives us a better chance to do it. I think that's about it. You have a question?
So with this new building, would it host everything, all the town equipment, or would it be in combination?
No, it's a combination of the one that's, everything would be up there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind
not-
of the place.
Not in total.
Say that again. We have stuff down here, not everything is gonna fit in the new building, but everything will fit up there. Between
Between the two buildings, so everything should be under cover that we have between them.
Yes.
Okay.
And this new building is, I mean, it's built well, you know, we're building houses and hopefully people, when they insulate, they think of our value of insulation of an R36 in their attic. This got an R52. It's a one slant roof so that everything is coming off the back of it. Unlike the one that we have right now, these guys coming out there with their trucks and there's 12 inches of ice on the eve with icicles coming down. It would come down on them. Not to say it could. What happened recently with one of the trucks. Damage was done by the truck because the sheet of OSB fell down. When you looked at it, you can finger it apart, it's all rotted. It was when the building was built. Things different now when they built. But it's certainly a multi-use building and it gives them a chance to maintain our vehicles even better, pressure wash them, things like that, keeping up with them, maintenance of things. You know, with the 3 people in the crew, it gives them an opportunity to provide something good for this town that is growing.
Your question on, you mentioned the last year they came in with $1.5 million.
We came up with that.
Okay.
In the group here, we were basically, the suggestion was from Barton, who built a building similar to this. This one's a little shorter, they had more bays. And what they did tell us was that is about what they spent. But they also had their ARPA money involved in it. So they used it all toward their college. So theirs was around 2 million. Or better, and so ours, like I said, 2 bays less. But it's an identical building that anybody that really wanted to tour it, I'm sure Colin Martin, they were allowed to walk in it. And that's what we've done here. We've seen what it's going to be.
So my question there is, like, do we, so in our budget right now, how much is, do we know we're gonna spend, and how much of it is adding for any increases that happen?
And they figured it was 2
Like when we went into our school building, right, we bonded for 3.2, and then our original construction went up to 5.2 million, which was a significant jump, I guess, more than P design the whole thing, which then bring it back down to 3. So if we're asked this, I mean, I see the need for it, and I'm with you on that. My question really is, if we have that division of how much we need versus the categories, is that enough? To make sure that we're gonna cover all of it, as opposed to having to come back again next year, especially basically. Yes. Right, yeah. So what the number?
Have to go through the process, right? This is like what I.
So the architects are giving us an estimate of what the cost is going?
The architect did it.
Okay.
And he got that from professional, that we put these buildings up
And what did they say it was?
in 2.1, I believe.
2.1, okay.
Yeah.
So we have about, what, less than 25% as our reserve for anything more up.
You guys think that's enough of a reserve? I'm imagining so, if you brought it up, but.
I hate to tell you, so for 5 million, you know, we can try everything, we've done it again. And everybody, all of the professionals involved have done as the best we can to give the town, this work. We don't have any answers beyond what we've already done. Those are our answers. It's not bonding. We're not looking to bond. We've all talked about that. And Treasurer can talk to you briefly, really wants to about, what that means. So 2.5 million is not a number that we're gonna go bond. It's not a number that we're gonna go borrow. Big.
I would correct it just slightly in that it's not a bond. The article talks about, general obligation notes of town of Coventry. That's, and it defines it, the statute, I had to look it up itself, but it's issuance of notice for the purpose of paying furnished expenses to this whole corporation. They must mature within 1 year of the date. So it'd be a series of or potentially over 5 years, or however long it takes to build the building, of very short-term loans that mature within the year. The other, that's the loan part of it. The other aspect is the building, the maintenance reserve fund, which you currently have in the town. It has a balance of about 680,000 right now. There are 2 articles shortly coming up that move more money into that reserve fund to top it out at about $1 million. So you would have cash on hand right now, if you approve those articles, of over $1 million. It's like $1,040,000. Okay. You have cash on hand right now of 680,000 for building.
Now it's all the case, even over, you could.
It gets incorporated into how we pay for it. The board would have to decide about how to use which set of funds at what time. Yeah, we're not. So in a sense, you've got right on hand right now, 680,000 in cash ready to go. In the end, the article is looking for authorization to borrow up to 2.5 million. Very short term, less than a year or less.
Borrow or use? That's where I keep getting stuck. Are we financing a whole point out? Where I keep it right here.
Yeah, well,
there's some funds.
The differentiation between how much you pay for in cash and how much you borrow is going to be up to the board.
Okay. Well, because that's the thing, right? Is based on how we end up putting the motion together, are we authorizing you to spend up to 2.5, or are we authorizing you to finance up to 2.5? Because those would be our 2 very different things. Right now, it says finance over a term.
It is what it says.
Right, and so when I look at that, I'm thinking corner can interest payments, but if we have, cash on hand, then it won't be at 2.5, it'll be lower than. That was where I was gonna go.
I think think legally speaking, Michael can help me, with this one if he wants to. But legally speaking, the way I have been educated from, the town attorney and and others, is that the town is just like your budget. The town authorizes the select board to expend its money up to a certain amount. How they expend that money, like line item over line item, we have an ability to adjust that, right? We just can't spend more than what you allow. This article is suggesting, saying, asking, based on this information that Jim presented, this is the top dollar of the building. So it's wise for the town to say, well, we'll authorize an expense up to that amount of money. Okay. Giving the select board then the flexibility to use its current cash, go search for grants, look at short-term loans, to be paying back short-term, not bonding out a long time. It gives you the whole flexibility of the package for this group to do that. That's the best way to do it. If you try to drive down into, let's minus the cash out, let's hope for 100,000, it's sort of like the car trade, right? And try to say, just authorize this for $1 million, that's probably a mistake.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's just that when I hear finance, I'm thinking we're getting blown out. That was so what's tripping me up.
We're looking at, next town meeting or the town meeting after, or a few visits back to this to actually pay for it.
Gotcha.
If you finance it, certain some of the finance, have to eventually pay for it.
Yeah.
Which would mean action by the voters to go in some manner, they'll start different ways you can do it.
Jeff Wilson, little side note, I'm the emergency management director. So one of the things that I've heard you say was ideas for it to potentially be used as a shelter. You mentioned showers, those are not being included in the current plan.
Yeah.
They are included in the current plan.
That's what makes that work.
Right. So one thing I will go through and just say, real quick as a plug, we did do a women's shelter that we got permission from the state out of the school. It's not an ideal setup, but it did work. We've had 7 individuals that did utilize that, on the Sunday evening or Saturday night that we hauled out and shout out to Carrie and Ed, who both came out and helped me out with that for part of time. Very appreciated. We do need a better setup for shelters. I'm working on getting us additional supplies that we don't have to rely on state and other agencies because the cost is limited at the national level at this point, and we don't have a large footprint out here in the so having a structure like that could be utilized as a shelter, we can get a figure of how many people it will be.
The size and what's available to just that. 60 by 60.
But Yogi knows.
Jim, like, got up again with the building, Jim has been a man on it and asked questions that we wouldn't have thought of, and just his expertise has been great with this, so. I just thank him once. As a select board, as a selectman, I'm really late on this. But just thinking about Praneep's project, well, it's town project on the school and on the spot and thinking about it. You, with your expertise, you really think it won't be higher than 2.5 million?
Knowing what was spent at Tartan. And theirs was actually built for about 3.2. And it could be more than you have. It's an identical building. Different shape and roof that's on, because they're dealing with snow and ice falling off first floors. It will not be. Even with the change of another year here, made to that, can't believe it's what, that.
So, I got some questions for you. The first question deals with the, price per square foot, so it's about $500 a square foot. What's the major driver of that price per cost? What is it cement work, site work? What's driving that?
This is, me, I think I kind of categorize this as a high-end building. It's panels that are pre-insulated and installed, almost like prefab, roof included, not the structure that holds them. We've got a lot of thought into all of that, plus the simple fact that you're required to have ventilation there to deal with exhaust and all that, but we don't up here. There's a lot of things that was code written, like the firewall between the office and the garage. Firewall is blocked, metal. So there's like about these all these different rooms, you're fitting and all that.
How about the mezzanine? What is that?
Mezzanine is a bonus off of having the office's firewall office. I mean,
Over the top of it.
it goes over the top of it,
Right.
22 by 60.
No elevator, no.
No, it's a steel stairway, and it's really, the intent of the print was for, use of the highway department to store things. Extra things, like they have, tanks they use during the summer months for fluid and all, perhaps something that, there's need for storage, but there's also need for storage for this other portion of it, the shelter.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that we were thinking about using the current deniers in storage. Wouldn't that require us to do some repair to the ceiling, caving in, and the risk of ice falling off and all that stuff? Would that require?
If they're gonna use it, they have to use it for use in trucks and things like that, and also work on trucks, both buildings or vehicles. But, there's currently, people looking into the cost of rehabbing that building, ceiling wise and all. Whether it uses fiberglass, foam insulation, what have you, but also it's gonna be looked at as far as the rafters and maybe cellars. So there's a grant available coming up, right, to cover some of that. Which they've already been spending in this town for like this building, had insulation put all the way around the foundation. And
You're talking about the efficiency grant. They got the full one.
Yeah. And when it comes to foam insulation and fiberglass, that comes into that category of 50%.
That's a rehab, right? You
Yeah.
can't use it on the new building.
That's right.
And on the old building.
Yes.
Now, the location of our current building and which is the other one, really been never affected.
No, there's a huge yard for turnaround. They've come up with that plan of those trucks with plows, have room to turn, they're crossing each other. The only I wouldn't call it a downfall. The only issue we found with place that's gonna be located is they're gonna have to dig out 10 or 12 feet of fill there. Still being able to reuse them because we did some bore testings, and that was a fill site. Gravel, they leveled the bank probably, but there's also some wood in there that's mysterious. And so they've got to recycle what they can, compact it properly, and now build the building on top. That's the only extra in the whole project, which wasn't huge. Okay.
Hey, guys, we're getting a little off topic here. This article's about $2,500,000. Let's try to keep the discussion to that and get to a vote here.
I wouldn't have an issue with that if we had had a informational meeting prior.
This isn't an information meeting, Joe.
No, I know,
I
but I
know.
don't have the information.
So, I just want to share, I should have done this a little differently, but could have had. it helps think through the article for the voter in a little bit more friendly way. So hopefully that forces us to go. This piece came to us from, some short consulting from the town was contracted services for the last year from county service, special municipal accounts, help us keep an eye on many different moving parts. This was one of them, and so, the select board is asking for authorization to borrow up to the anticipated cost of the garage. So that when you get to the contract phase, you have flexibility and cash flow required for the construction. This is a not to exceed vote. And does not prevent you from financing a lower amount and may end up being in line with credit. Select board intends to review available cash resources, investigate potential sources of grant funds, reduce the amount borrowed, and develop a plan to pay off the carried debt. We can't answer all of those very specific questions right now because we haven't gone there. We've gone to the point where we were asked to go from the town last year and do everything that we've just talked about. That's the best we can do unless we want to go spend another couple $100,000 and get actual bids and all of that. It makes it, again, very clumsy. This is a way to do it properly, have a safe number, and give the board and its treasurer and its consulting firm the flexibility to meet your need best.
Thank you, Mike, real quick.
Real quick.
Mike, just wondering, if you look at this passive, is there really a need for us for it? I think that if this does pass, there's money left over every year from the tipping fees. That can only go either into investments or the reserve fund. We hope that we're looking at what is our return on the investment. Interest opposed to interest we have to pay on that. We make that determination, and then I think next year that can be swing and possibly in the budget as well.
Follow on 100%. Going back to this, we can't get there yet. Dave did a good job telling us you kind of already got everything, right? And it's March of 2026. We're not talking about building construction until 2027. We're gonna have another fiscal year of revenue. So you don't know some of those moving parts, but yeah, that's the amount that you're gonna finance. Probably. It's gonna surprise you probably on how little it's gonna be. And then you gotta have these folks all making that plan along the way and updating me next year. But the 2.5 is a scary number. It's scary to think about that you're gonna borrow that or not. It's just the vehicle we're using to get.
Okay, question has been called. Article 7, you are in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
All
Town authorized transfer of $230,000 from the Community and Economic Development Reserve Fund to the Buildings and Maintenance Reserve.
Second.
Do you want to discuss that one? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Article 9, shall the legal voters in the town of Coventry authorize the transfer of $143,000 from the reappraisal reserve fund to the Buildings and Maintenance Reserve Fund?
I guess. Devin Van Hoffert, with the transfer of the funds, that leaves us enough in those funds after the transfer. I guess this would leave enough in the fund after the transfer to justify the cost of what we already use. That makes sense.
Yes, specific to Article 9, that's the reappraisal fund. You had positioned enough money there to pay for the complete reappraisal, now they're including the landfill and wet auction power plant that sits at the landfill that are very expensive to reappraise.
the state now has a program that enables us to offload that on them, the landfill, but that's others. Difficult to raise things, it's very expensive, so we don't need as much money in beautification fund anymore to execute the beautification that's coming. Sometime soon, setting it up, so. We should be okay.
I got just a question on those funds. The state provides recreated funds.
Yes.
Are these state funds or these dollars that the town put into that? I don't know, can we spend funds that the state has given us for reappraisal and repurpose those dollars for something else?
The remaining in the fund will be about 125,000, and I don't want to do the exact math, but significantly less than that remaining 125,000 state. The state gives us about 6,000 a year, and the last year was 21, so it's probably 35,000 in state money. But it's $2 million.
So thank you, just. I gotta look at that. To answer that question specifically, there's $267,907 in the fund. And the article is proposing to transfer $140,000 to the building reserve. While the state currently provides $5,900 a year annually, these funds are not state funds. For the amount of money, great legal questions, we didn't want to do that. We're not touching it this evening.
Okay, Article 9, all in favor, please say aye. Those opposed? Article 10. Shall the legal voters of the town of Coventry establish a reserve fund to be called the Long-Term Tax Stabilization Fund in accordance with 24 VSA 2804 to be funded by the transfer of the current balance of the town's long-term investment fund, any future appropriations made by the voters, and all net investment earnings approved by the fund, for the purpose of reducing municipal property taxes once the landfill is no longer providing sufficient revenues for town operations.
Only to read first, it's not.
Well, let's get a motion on it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Article 10. This is been the subject of discussion a lot for the last many years, really. That's sort of honed in our conversation, specifically, which you would say, I feel a little loose the way our investment money is sort of hanging out there. So what Article 10 is doing, specifically, the note part of this. The previous vote to set these funds aside was untrue. It did not provide any timeline or conditions on the use. Currently, the town benefits significantly from the landfill revenue. This fund clarifies the original intent of the set. When establishing the long-term investment fund and ensures that the wealth generated today is preserved specifically to prevent a tax spike when the landfill eventually does close and the revenue streams. So just like we have other reserve funds and we're very specific and we're sort of earmarked into this purpose, we've never really done that. So all this is, it's not moving any money, it's not doing any of that work, just simply saying, let's reserve that for stated purpose for your tax payments in the future.
Yes.
Jeff Wilson. Currently, we have all the funds already invested, correct? And just rolling it over. Beyond like basically everything investment. We aren't touching for any other reason. This would be a benefit to changing the name of the fund. Because currently my understanding is we feel that we use it for other purposes if we need it. Where this would be locking it in just for that purpose. And no other.
It solidifies the purpose of funds So the select board can't get a little bit easy on spending money. And so its stated purpose is for what we call.
Long-term tax stabilization.
And so those words were put together so that it's clear of its purpose. It's not for a truck, it's not for a building, it's not for anything else. It's reserved money each year. Whenever we come in front of you to say we want to put some extra money in there, it's reserved specifically for that purpose. And it doesn't allow the select board to use it in another way. It would have to come back and be voted for that.
How much money is in the fund that will be transferred or changed to that?
Approximately, I wouldn't want to log in right now, you would know what the market is doing. It's approximately 16 million. Devin?
And Devin McMucker, and this just helps offset the future tax that would happen.
That is the fund, right? We all know the landfill will close, and keep drinking out about 20 years, that's based on current state permitting. Those things can change, but they've done an exceptionally hard job this year, working with a lot of people, to try to hone in on those things, but the basis of this article is to say, money that we have today, you want to reserve specifically for that purpose, and then we have all those conversations with them about how much money we want to put in.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to put you guys in data for working towards this is a big step for transparency and make sure that these units are utilized on the intent of all of us. Thank you for doing hard work for all of us.
Okay, all in favor of Article 10, please say aye. Aye. All opposed. Okay. Article 11, shall the legal voters, the town of Coventry, vote to appropriate the below expenditures for service agencies in the amount of $27,802. There is a report, and I guess the asterisks here, the single asterisks are ones that went up, and the double one is ones that went down. So a couple of places asked us for more money, and then one place asked us for less. So, thank you. And you want to talk about it? No. All in favor?
Request these people to send us like my report of, I know that we do for other people who give money in the past and never utilized the bonds. Just forget it, I'll talk to them, tell them that happened with some of these people, if you look into their financial reports. That there are some of these organizations that have their own wealth fund that need money to be funded instead of.
There are some reports that we do receive from individuals. Have we ever requested that to be, part of our procedure? No. I know that has actually been some discussions, even when Matt was town administrator, and something that I've had with Ed for going forward, that's possibly, it's probably the way. Now we are going for that. Even though we may receive some of that information, we do not place it within the town board, just to help them minimize the piece of that. But no, that's definitely something that's done.
Great question. Works on paper. Well, looks here is on mine. Because the need that we have get requested that we help with. Sometimes those organizations gotta be careful if we don't impose a solid rule that would cut some of them out, or an inability to really give us exactly what we're looking for. So I don't know, Mike, how to say it, but if you gotta maintain some flexibility for it. The board and the administrative group, I think, working with those initial requests, making sure it fits. We've had some that did. But the reason we kicked that can a long time is because the 1 year in the year.
So we don't all make.
And so
Mike.
I'm Geisler, and I'll just say as leader of the organization to request, some of the organizations on here are really grassroots, that they have minimal financial balance sheets and things like that, but are doing great work in the community. And they're only asking for $200 or so. So, I know we want to balance, big requests and organizations, but also that we're asking for that are doing great work. Might not be that fancy.
Okay, all in favor of Article 11, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Excellent. Do we have any other business to conduct today? Yeah, building back.
I was just wondering if we found out anything more about the town land that was being leased to a farmer from last year.
Yeah, it's an ongoing legal thing, right?
Yeah. It's like that, it's an ongoing legal thing, waiting on lawyers. Recently, we made an agreement and just basically swapping our rights. The town and other swapping rights, and we're just waiting on lawyers.
Okay.
Karen?
Yeah, I just wanted to give an update about the Coventry Inclusion Committee. It's been going for 4 years now, and last year we joined the Glover Equity Committee, and what else? We still have some lawn signs if you want them. There's a picture of them actually in the yeah, I should have brought one in, but I didn't. And they're in the town clerk's office, and you can pick one up, they're free. And if anybody has any more questions, you can ask me.
For those of you who don't know, I'm your state representative, Montpelier. And so at this point, if there's any questions, I really don't have much of a report because there's not a lot of things going on in Montpelier that I can give you a report on. Act 73, which is the big education issue. There's not much going on in the committees. They're having a hard time really understanding how they can move forward with that. There's not a large enough group of legislators advocating for one piece or another. My committee deals with the career technical education. We're working with the Agency of Education right now to come up with a plan. I don't know how far we can go. I have about a week next week. That's called crossover week. So if things don't make it, then they don't make it for the rest of the year. So there's a lot going on, but not much to report on. So any questions from anyone?
Yeah, so I read a lot of proposals to increase taxes and or restrict firearms. One thing was someone voted, I don't know if you call it a bill or whatever, to look at banning all semi-automatic firearms. Some Muslim people voted the idea to tax packages, per package tax. Some other dingbat Rutland proposed another increase in taxes. I see that is the norm way of thinking. If there's not much going on, then does that mean there's not much going on to push these different agendas?
I haven't heard anything on any gun issues this year. At least on the House side. I haven't heard much on the Senate side either. There's a lot of time right now is being spent on healthcare, education issues. And that also is in ways and means of public Senate finance. That's taxing capacity. We have to figure out a new funding formula for schools. They're looking at foundation formula. Yeah, I know the Ways and Means is also talking about an additional tax on short-term rentals. So I don't know where all of that's going, what's going to happen with that, trying to figure out additional revenues. So everything's up in the air right now until we get back next week. The next 2 weeks as we get back are the times where things get dangerous. But they're also the first part of, there's 3 parts to everything. So there's crossover, then bills cross from the House to the Senate, Senate to the House. We work on them, they work on them.
then we try to reconcile them, their conference committees, and then it goes to the government, so. We'll see how that all goes.
So most of everyone's efforts are education healthcare.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really heard anything in the judiciary, on the House side about any gun bills this year. So I haven't heard much on the Senate side. Other questions? So in case you don't know, this is my last year. I'm not running again for re-election. I want to thank you all for supporting me for these last 22 years. It's been an honor, privilege to represent you up today. Something else. It's really a lifetime that I'll remember for the rest of my life. Appreciate it. On the good side, Reed Menon has stepped up and he's going to run for the seat. And so I hope that you can support him. I certainly support him and I hope you all can support him as well. Thank you. Right there.
Okay, HR, raffle, you have the 4 items, complete, doesn't matter which one, and complete one, deposit it into the ballot box up front. Let's go here, I'm gonna ask if we can all get in a single file line, please, so people not bombard individual participation. I promise there should be enough for everyone. And if there's a leftover, absolutely, if you want to go back after second or third, go back after second. Yeah. Oh, here.
Hi, most of you, sorry, I'm standing between you and lunch, so I'll be very fast. I'm also upgrades. Most of you know who I am, I just stayed in that.
I was just wondering what they.
It's just below my house. I was just wondering if somebody was interested. No.
I usually have them here and just let you know that if you have questions, anything you're interested in, to just give a little update. So we are entering into our last year right now of construction on our next cell. So we did excavation all of last year. You probably saw that work happening. So this year, the fun and exciting stuff happened with liner, pipe work, pump house, everything like that. I know we did not get to have our open house last year, unfortunately, that we were geared up for it. We were told by people way above me that we were not doing it. So we're really hoping to have our open house this year in the fall. So it'll be a great year to come because we'll be doing construction. And always, if you want to come through tour, have any questions, we can always call me or Jeremy here. Thank you.
No, the burns.
Oh, I see.